This video is sponsored by Denk Nutrition, essential nutrients for your health.
Hi, my name is Cheryl. I'm a mom of 2 boys, aged 3 and 18 months. I'm currently doing my MPhil in Stats at Legon, and I also work as a part-time programming teacher and an online English teacher. So we got married in December 2015 and we took it in August 2016. And so we had enjoyed most of our 2016 life, and I missed my period and I was like, okay, could this be pregnancy? But I didn't want to rush to take the test and I'll be disappointed. So I waited a bit. And then we took the test. It was a Sunday morning, so we took the test and then it was positive. We were so excited. So that day when we went to church, we were so happy, we were dancing, the 2 of us were just so happy. So that was the first pregnancy, so much joy and everything. But for the second one, by that time, our first one was 10 months. Charlie, we were not seeing top. He's a crazy guy. He was all over the place. He had just started walking. He was just giving us so much stress. And that one, at that time, my period hadn't come back fully. So it was, on and off. Sometimes it will come and all that. So I wasn't sure if I'd even missed my period. But what happened was, I was dressing up one day and I was like, it seems this is my tummy that I've worked on so well. It's like it's coming back. Oh, hey, what is this? Okay, let me go and get my corset and wear it again. Maybe it will just trim down again. And then something just hit me like, what if you're pregnant? I'm like, no, I'm not pregnant. So that was like 2 weeks before I took the test. So I just brushed it aside. So 2 weeks later, I still hadn't gotten my period. But I wasn't really concerned about the period, but the stomach was still, feeling big. I'm like, okay, let me just go and get a test. What do you, maybe? But I was just so sure it was negative, but I still got the test kit. And so when I tested and I saw the 2 lines, I was like, oh no, this is not happening. But that time my husband was asleep, so I went to him and I dropped it in front of him. And then he just got up and then he looked at it and it's like, 2 lines, what does it mean? I'm like, today asking me what 2 lines means. And then that was it. It was mixed feelings, like, can we do this again? He's only 10 months, he's still a baby. But well, we did it because now we have 2 boys, so yeah. And being pregnant, it was just beautiful having life inside you. Like every day when I was walking, it was just beautiful to think about. I had someone growing inside me. And then when they start to kick, for me, it was just so amazing. Sometimes my husband and I would just sit down and he would put his hand on my belly and we'd just be feeling the kicks. Sometimes I can be gentle, I'll just poke him here and there just to feel him kicking. It was beautiful. It was my big belly. So I'm very slim, as you can see, but I had a very huge belly. It was huge. Everyone thought it was twins. For the 2 of them, I think it was even bigger for the second born. It was huge. By the time I was 6 months, people would see me and are like, hey, you're going to give birth very soon. And I was like, my belly was just so huge. It was so heavy down there. It was tiring. So especially for my second born, every night my husband had to massage me because it was just so tiring carrying that weight. I just couldn't, wait to give birth and just get rid of that weight. Yeah, so my 2 babies, they decided that they wanted to enjoy being in there forever. So the firstborn, he was born 40 weeks plus 1 day. But the second one was born a day to 41 weeks. So for the firstborn, we were home. We were still praying about it. This boy should just come. We don't want to be induced. We don't want any drama. So we were praying. It was in the night. We had prayed. It was almost 12 midnight. So after we prayed, my husband stayed in the hall and I went to the room. So I was in the room and I started feeling cold. And I was like, hey, what is happening? So I just got something to cover myself. And then all of a sudden I started feeling very, very hot. So I was like, then I wanted to use the washroom. So I went to the washroom, I peed, and then that's when I saw the mucus plug. And I was like, oh, wow. So by that time, I told my husband about how I was feeling, and he was there with me. He saw the mucus plug too. And then that's when the contractions started. So that was around 2 a.m. So the contractions started like 2 a.m. and then we're monitoring it. and it was already close, like 7 minutes apart. And I'm like, this is supposed to be when it's almost time to give birth. So why am I getting 7 minutes apart at this time? So when it was like 5, my husband called our doctor, and the doctor was like, oh, we can go to the hospital. So we got to the hospital by, let's say, 6:30. They checked me and they were like, yeah, 8 centimeters. I'm like, how possible? Like, I just started this. And so by 7:45, the first was out. Now the second was even shorter. My husband and I had gone to church. So after church, we were on our way home. It was around 7 p.m. And that day he was supposed to go to work. My husband ran shift, so he was supposed to go to work in the evening. So it was like 7 p.m. I was feeling some pains. But like I said, because they were always late, everything that I feel like, hey, it's coming. So I didn't want to, react like, oh, it's already coming. So I was like, I asked him, if I tell you right now that I'm getting contractions, what would you do? He's like, oh, I'll just call my colleague to go to work in place of me. I was like, oh, okay. I'm feeling some pain, so, but maybe, I don't know. They were like, oh, so should I call my colleague? I was like, oh, no, you relax. Maybe it's not that one. So that was like 7. So like 7:30, I was still feeling the pains and all that. And my husband was like, are you sure this don't labor? I was like, oh, maybe not. So it was like 8, and my husband said, you know what? I think you are in labor because this is how you are behaving for the firstborn. So I'm just calling my colleague. So he called his colleague, and then I was like, okay, let's start timing. And this time when we started timing at 8 p.m., it was already two minutes apart, sorry. And I was like, no, 2 minutes apart, like how? So we're now thinking, okay, where would our son go to and all that? So I was thinking, okay, you can go to my sister's place. And then just then my sister walked into the house and she's like, oh, she just decided to pass by. I'm like, how possible? So I just left my husband to, do everything with my sister. I went inside, picked my bag up and all that. By that time, the pains were too severe for me to even time anymore. It was almost 9. And then at that time, then I started feeling the urge to poop. And I'm like, what's happening? Like, I'm in my hospital is in East Legon, and I'm in the house and I'm feeling the urge to poop. Like, no. So we left the house after 9. On the way, police barriers here and there, so we had to stop at several places. We got to the hospital maybe around 10:30, and they took me in, and then the midwife wanted to check how far dilated I was. She tried, and she was like, my waters were bulging. My waters hadn't broken yet, so she was like, it was bulging. So she wants to, set me up, and then she would break the waters. I was like, okay. So she laid me on the bed, set up everything. And then just when she was about to, break the waters, then it just got broken on its own. She even the midwife shouted, Jesus. So we're all like, hey, what is happening? So when she checked, she was like, yeah, fully dilated. When you feel the edge again, just push. So that was it. And then I just had to start pushing immediately. And yeah, labor was painful. It was painful, like no two ways about it. It started like menstrual cramps, but it was painful. And then for me, it was like when it started, like I said, it just started and it was just red. I was almost ready to give birth. So it started with so much pain for 45 seconds long, 7 minutes apart. My second born, 2 minutes apart. So it was painful, like full stop painful. That's it. Okay, so for the first, when he came out, I was like, hey, it's who now Cheryl. Like I just felt so relieved. And, I mentioned that the weight was so much for me. So when he came out, I felt like some weight had left me. So I felt relieved, so relieved. So it was just relief. And then later on, I, held my baby and all that. But for the second, it was more difficult to push him out. I was really struggling to push, even though I was a second-time mom. It was so difficult to push him out. And so when he finally came out, he wasn't crying yet. But when they took him out and they put him on me, I just wanted to keep him on me. And then the midwife was like, no, he's not crying yet, so let us work on him. And so that's when I left him, and then they were trying to get all the water out of him so that he can cry. And it was taking so long. My husband and I were just looking at him. We were just praying that, please cry, please cry. So when finally he cried, we just, we were just so relieved, and we were just thank God that he had finally arrived. And then when they weighed him, he was 4 kg, and I was like, what? I just pushed a 4 kg baby. I was like, thank God I didn't know this. Otherwise, it would have really intimidated. I couldn't have pushed this because I know that 4 kg is a big weight. Yeah. So from the hospital, we went straight to my mother's place on both occasions. And mommy was there to cook. She was there to cook. She was there to help around. My auntie also came around to also help with everything. So yes, we did get help. But the funny thing was that I rather didn't want the help. So I'm someone who likes to do things on my own. And so I felt like, why is it that I can't do anything for myself? I want to do everything. I want to be able to wash. I want to be able to, do everything. And everyone is doing things for me. They're telling me to go and sleep. So that was what stressing me out. The fact that I had help, that stressed me out. So I just wanted to be strong again and move around. But I realized whenever I tried to be strong, I just had to lie on the bed again because it was not easy. I was just weak. So it took me about a week to, adjust and be able to do stuff on my own to my satisfaction. So my firstborn fell down once when he was, I think, about 6 weeks. That was really scary. But it's so amazing. That day, I had his car seat in the hall. And then when I was about to go to sleep, I don't know why, I took the car seat to the room. And then I don't know whether I was breastfeeding and I was dozing off. The next thing I know, this boy was in the car seat. And I was like, what just happened? And then I was like, why did I bring this car seat to the room? It was just amazing. Like, God really watches over us. This was just a confirmation that God really watches over us, because if the car seat hadn't been there, I don't even want to think about it. So that was really scary. For the first one, when we went there that day, when we thought, we were told that it would be painful and all that. So when we went there, he took it, they gave him para. He was fine. We're like, oh, it was okay. Nothing happened. So we drove home. He was quiet. He was asleep or so. So when we got home, that was when everything started. He was making some weird noises. He wouldn't eat. I'm like, what is this? Like, what have they done to my baby? I was so scared. I was so worried. I was like, hey, want to ask for breast milk again? Please, I beg you, ask for breast milk. I won't complain again. Please come for breast milk. I beg you. Like, he was crying. It was so bad. And I was trying to do some work on that day, and he just couldn't lie down on his bed again. So I carried him and had a baby carrier. So I carried him. I was just walking up and down in the room, and I'll do some work a bit and all that. And before he managed to sleep. And so I think it lasted for that full day. So when it was the 10 weeks one, I was like fully prepared for the West. And then that one, rather, when we came home, it was fine. Yeah, it was fine. And I think the second one to the same thing, the 6-week ones, we also reacted in the same week. And then the subsequent ones, they were fine. Circumcision. Circumcision, like, it's bloody. Like, it's a bloody thing. It's so much blood around. So the day before, I asked my friend who had given birth 3 months before me, how was it? And she was like, Cheryl, it's not easy. It's not easy. So just know that it's just something that would also pass. So just know that it's not easy. So that day I was just ready for the fact that it wasn't easy. So we had a midwife and another, I think, nurse come to the house. And then she put him on the table. That was her operation table. And I was there and I was like, what am I about to watch? And you see, what pained me the most was the innocence of the baby. Like, the baby had no idea what was about to happen. He had woken up, we had bathed him as usual, he had taken his breast milk, and then put him on a table, and he didn't know anything. And then all of a sudden, got this wicked mother doing this to him. Like, what is this? And so she just cut, and he was crying. There was so much blood and all that. And then she put a ring over it, and then it was fine. And so, like, that day, I just promised them breast milk party. That day, I'm here for you. Take all the breast milk you want to take. So I just lay him on his changing mat. I didn't want to cover him yet because I felt he would be in pain. So I didn't cover him yet. And then it was like he'll cry a bit, he'll suck a bit, then he'll sleep. And so that was the first day. But afterwards, it was fine. So while we are bathing him, we would rinse him and we let him rinse in water mixed with Savlon, warm water mixed with Savlon, and then that was helping to soothe the wound. So I think it took about a week, and then the ring fell off, and it was still looking a bit raw, but with time it got better. So introducing solids to my second born. So I did 6 months exclusive, and as usual, I'm excited, come to introduce solids to this boy. The first day was amazing. I put him in the baby chair. I prepared Cerelac for him. He opened his mouth, ate it. Very fine. I was like, hey, and this one day I'm blessed though, because my firstborn eats very well. So I was like, hey, this one I'm blessed though. So he ate the Cerelac, everything, very fine. So I even left him in the house alone that day. I went to chill, cry, because I was like, hey, finally I'm off exclusive. And then the second day too was okay, maybe the third day. But the fourth day, this boy wouldn't take anything. Not Cerelac, not Geba, not Mashke, nothing. He wouldn't eat anything. So I was like, okay, maybe I was rushing him, so let me just continue the breast milk a bit more. But still, he was so difficult to actually adjust to solids. Finally, when he adjusted, it was rice. Rice was his food. So those cereals and milk, even up to now, milk, formula milk, no. But rice is his favorite. Rice, jollof, wache. Once it's rice, he will take it. And then meat, and chicken, fish, he knows it. I even have a picture of him 7 months. He was holding chicken and chewing it. He knows that one. So you eat his rice, then you hold his chicken or his meat or his fish, and you enjoy it. So that's him. That's him. He doesn't eat so much, but at least now it's much better. Okay. So when I was pregnant, I thought, my firstborn would react to me being pregnant. People say that they sense it and they try being clingy, but he wasn't. He was actually very attached to his dad, and I was jealous because I'm like, hey, so because I've gotten pregnant, you've left me all alone. But when the baby finally arrived, I told him that, oh, baby is coming and all that. So when he met the baby for the first time, he was excited, hey, baby, was jumping on the bed. When he sees the baby move, he's excited. I think that excitement lasted for maybe 2 or 3 days afterwards. When he sees me breastfeeding the baby, then he'll come and sit on me because he wants some attention. So I would have to hand the baby over to my husband and give him the attention. I think the worst sibling rivalry I had seen was one day we were in church, and I was with the two of them, but my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law was around. So my sister-in-law was carrying the older one. No, my sister-in-law was carrying the younger one, and my mother-in-law was carrying the older one. Then the younger one started crying. He was 3 months then. So I sat down to breastfeed him. Then all of a sudden, the older one too just got off my mother-in-law and wanted to sit on me. And it was just so embarrassing. Everybody's looking at you. You alone, you've got to give birth to plenty children, I felt so. What have I done? What have I done to deserve this? That was the worst I've seen. But even 9 days, when the older one is playing, he doesn't want to see the younger one. No, he wants us to come and play with him. But when the younger one comes near, he's like, oh, go away. It's for me. But then the younger one too wants to be with him because he looks up to me he really likes his big brother. But the older one, he doesn't book him cry like he's a human being. He thinks he's still a baby. So he tells me to call him baby. When I call him by his name, Theodore, he said, Mommy, call him baby sweetie. Can you imagine? Oh, for now, yes, I think for now, dear, I can say that I know a lot. As for the beginning, I was green. I knew nothing. So I've never stayed with anyone who had given birth before. I never met a newborn baby in my life before. Maybe you see babies in church, but you hold them small. But when I met my baby, that was fresh. I didn't know anything, zero, diaper. I didn't even know how to change diaper. So I remember the first night, my husband and I were trying to change the diaper there. He was screaming. My mom was in the next room. My auntie was in the next room. The baby was screaming. My auntie just came and just, did everything. I was like, hey, so even diaper, I don't even know how to change it. Then putting baby at my back, I didn't know. This thing that I see small children do, I didn't know how to do it. I told my mother to teach me. She thought I was just joking when I said I didn't know. So she was like, you don't want to learn the thing, you this modern mother. So I was like, I don't know. So she had to teach me step by step. So she said, do your baby like this, do your back like this. And I was like, It was so funny. But at least, so now today, me, I can put the baby at my back. It's an achievement. So now I think I'm getting there. I know what I'm doing a bit. But of course, you can never know everything. So what I find challenging is the fact that you have only one chance to do this. Like, anytime I look at my kids, if I make a mistake in, let's say, introducing them to solids, that mistake is made and I don't have a second chance to, retry that same process again. I can only do it a second time. And so sometimes it makes me wonder, it's like, if I do something wrong and they learn something the wrong way, would it affect them in a particular way? It's been so challenging trying to make sure I get it right. I'm quite a perfectionist, so I just want to, get it right. I don't want to miss anything at all. Like recently, I toilet trained my older boy, and I was so scared that maybe I'll get something wrong, and maybe he'll pick up some bad habits or something in the process. But I mean, it was fine. But I just keep asking, what if I got it wrong? What if he, So that's been the challenging thing for me. Like, they're always asking myself, what if I make a mistake? And then because of the mistake I made, he'll pick up some bad habit that wouldn't go ever in his life. It really scares me a lot. Rewarding is just watching them grow. Like, it's beautiful. Recently, my older boy turned 3, and I'm like, how are you 3 years? Like, I've watched you for 3 years, really? And like, he's talking now, we can have conversations. He's interested in helping me in the kitchen, so we've been frying pancakes together. We've been, the last time we prepared chips together. Like, it's amazing, and we can have conversations. He can ask me questions, and he has a curious mind. It's beautiful watching them grow, watching them even imitate us, saying things that we say, repeating things that we repeat. It's just amazing watching him. And he loves to join in our family prayers already. And I'm like, am I really raising a Christian child? I can hear when he's saying his memory verses, I'm like, wow, we are praying as a family. He would be, actually, when we say our Father, then he would be saying it too. And then he would even, lead the rest. You say, Hail Mary, we're Catholic, so he will say the Hail Mary for us to respond. I'm like, wow, like, it's so amazing. And then when they sleep, it's beautiful. Like, apart from the fact that, they are asleep and now I have my peace, it's just beautiful because it just looks so much at peace. I feel like I've satisfied them for the day. They've eaten well. They are just satisfied. They are just happy. And so now they can just sleep. It's beautiful. It's just beautiful that I've done this. Really, I've done this. I'm still a child and I've done this. Like, it's beautiful.